Is the Indiana Fever really bringing Caitlin Clark back because there's summer camp day today when this video drops? Because the game is at 12 p.m. and it's almost midnight here Eastern time. Is that what the Indiana Fever is doing? Caitlin Clark has been out on the court for 2 days, 2 days, and you're rushing her back to play in 2 days. This is something that Indiana does that I'm gravely concerned about. They did it in the preseason by forcing her back in to play versus Iowa. And I'm not gonna say they forced her. She wanted to play, but they needed to protect her. They needed to do their jobs and protect her. If her quad was a problem for the first game, it was still a problem for that game in Iowa. And all they did when they pushed her back out there was they further exacerbated an injury that already existed, and it didn't get better. And I do think she played I don't remember if she played the third game or not. I don't really care, but then you got her playing in the regular season. And after 4 games, guess what? The quad is re-injured. And then 5 games, then they sit her out for five, and she comes back, and I still think that quad is a problem. And what happens next? She plays 5 more games, 3 of which she looks absolutely horrendous in, the last 3. And now she has a groin issue. And then they run this song and dance about day to day. And she could be back tomorrow every single time. We all know why, to keep the fans intrigued, to keep the fans interested, all that good stuff. And what happens then? She's been out for, I don't remember what, 5 games now, 4 more games, whatever it's been. And now you're bringing her back to play at 12 noon today because you have the summer camp kids here to watch the WNBA. And you cannot convince me any other way that this is not because of summer camp kids day. I refuse to believe that they are bringing her back for any other reason, because there's no way in the world that someone who's literally missed 5 weeks of basketball overall is in any physical cardio condition to play high level WNBA ball. Not with 2 days of practice. Not with 2 days of practice. Not with those ducks that they practice with. Like, I've watched these grown men that they practice with who can't play ball. Like, it looks like you're playing with children out there. Like, you're not getting full bore. You're not getting 100%. You're not getting any of that. And I think it's a massive, massive mistake. I don't believe that she is 100% healed. And I do believe that if it wasn't for the fact that this was summer camp kids day to day, she would not be playing if this was not that situation. They would hold her out till Friday, which is when they should hold her out to. But this is Indiana, and they're doing it their way. Hell, I said that they should hold her out to the break, but if they're not going to do that, they should have held her out to give her at least 4 days or three days of practice. Because all you're getting is you got her Monday, see how she felt Monday. She's Tuesday. Okay, now you got to see how she feels tomorrow. Now she plays, you practice Thursday, and let's see how she feels Thursday after playing a game. There's a lot of stuff going on here, people, that I don't get, but let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way, Women's Basketball. We talk facts of our feelings. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Appreciate y'all continued support. God bless every one of you who jumped on board tonight for the live of the Liberty and Aces. So Caitlin Clark is interviewed, and she talks about coming back and the fact that um, they're going to be back. She's going to be back for this game against the Valkyries today, when this posts, and I'll let you listen because I'll have my commentary after you listen to it, because I just think it's a massive, massive mistake in so many ways.
Gonna be mile long.
What have these last few days felt like for you leading into tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think it's just nice to get back out there and get to the flow of playing with my teammates again, and it's gonna be fun to get back out there hopefully and just feel things again. I think I don't know what type of minutes I'm going to get will look like, but just when I'm out there, like compete, play hard. This is going to be a team that's going to be moving constantly. So just being aware and active, bring energy. Um, and yeah, I think that, I mean, it's obviously hard sitting out and watching for a few weeks. So I'm definitely excited to get back out there.
Steph said yesterday you're not a fan of minutes restrictions. How do you anticipate all that actually going when you play a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to play a decent amount, maybe upper 20s. I guess it just depends how I feel and how the game goes and, what the team needs as well. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good, but probably going to try not to overdo it as well and put myself in a good position moving forward.
Caitlin, Steph talked about you having your coach's hat on during this stretch. Is there a particular thing or things you find yourself looking at most often while you're watching?
I mean, I try to notice as much as I can. I think, when we're successful, it really starts on defense for us. I think when we're disruptive, when we're up in passing lanes, defending hard, active hands, things like that. I think that's what leads to us being really good offensively.
So here's my question for Caitlin Clark. She mentioned already that she's going to play in the 20s, upper 20s. So let's say for example that this is a close game in the fourth quarter, and she has played 29 minutes. And there again, you can only control what you can control. But if you're watching the game and you're seeing how they're playing and you're seeing what the situation is, now one can hope that they're blowing them out and that she doesn't have to play in the fourth quarter. But if they're not, and they're in a nip and tuck game, can you possibly imagine she's played 28, 29 minutes, and there's 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game, that Stephanie White sits her in a 2 point game for the final 4 or 5 minutes? Do you think in any which way Caitlin Clark would sit on the sideline and say, "It's okay, leave me on the bench"? She's a competitor. She's a competitor, man. And when you're a competitor like she is, the bench is not where you're going to be. You're not going to let it happen. And my prayer is that she truly is healthy. I don't believe she is. I know how long groin injuries take to heal. And it's a situation where you can talk about minutes right now, but unless you're going to play her for 5 minutes in the first quarter, 7 minutes in the second quarter, and 7 minutes in the third quarter, that you can then play her the entirety of the fourth quarter, good luck if that's the game plan. But I have a feeling that that's not the game plan. And you play her as she looks. So if she's balling out in the first quarter, do you sit her because she's balling out and then take her out of a rhythm? It's possible. But you wouldn't typically do that. So I think this is a very dangerous situation. But then when the question's asked, and when she says where did it start from for the team, and she says defense. Well, that was an area that Caitlin Clark was largely struggling with those 3 games where she looked terrible. She couldn't guard a parked car. She couldn't move. She couldn't shuffle. She just let players go by her because she couldn't move. So when you have that situation, and now you're saying, well, the way we played was defensively. Well, is your offense going to be so great to outweigh your liability on defense if you cannot move at 100%? That's a question I've got. And if you're acknowledging that defense is the first thing, you better damn well be able to shuffle your feet and move side to side and not stand like a statue and let people blow by you, which is what we saw in those last 3 games that she played.
I think that's what led to our 2 games where we beat the Lynx and beat the Aces. And I think we lacked in that area versus the Sparks. We kind of just let them do whatever they want to. I thought we were a step behind. So I think that has to be intentional for our group going forward, is like we have to be a step ahead of everything. And that just comes down to knowing personnel and knowing our scout and, being very intentional in that. And I think that's kind of where the coaches have challenged us too.
How has Aries' addition kind of changed that vibe with this defensive group?
Yeah, I mean, she's as active as they come. She's going to be aggressive. She's going to pressure you. She's going to have her hands in passing lane. She's going to cause a little bit of havoc out there, and I think that's exactly what we need. And she's going to pick up pole, and I know that well. She guarded me a couple times last year, so I think she's been tremendous for us, honestly.
Caitlin, how much are you just looking forward to being on the court with Aries?
Yeah, I think it'll be great. Obviously, I haven't played a game with her. I don't think, at least. Just kind of been here when I've been out. So I think it'll be great. I think it'll be nice to play with another point guard who can, read the floor really well and, get me to come off a few screens rather than, just playing out a ball screen mostly. And, we're still going to do a lot of that and play in transition and all that. But when we have an opportunity to run me off some screens, and I think that just gives the defense another thing they have to plan for. And we're not, as predictable as we may have been earlier in the season. So try some of that, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
How much did you enjoy celebrating that cup we saw all the videos, but what was that celebration like for you with your teammates?
Just really proud of my team, honestly. Like, they went in there and they believed that they could win and they prepared that they could win. And that's exactly what they did. I thought, we dictated defensively, and that's a really, really hard place to play. I don't think the Lynx have lost there yet because that game didn't count. So they're technically undefeated at home. And, it's one of the hardest places to play. And that's not just the past years. That's over the course of, the Lynx franchise. They've always, dominated their home court. So especially to go in there on that type of game with that type of high stakes, I'm really proud of our group. So it was fun celebrating.
About kind of taking some pressure off you with Ari kind of running point in some actions and you playing off the ball. Just how do you think that'll help when you reintegrate onto the court?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice probably not to have to bring the ball up against pressure 94 feet. But like I said, that's what I'm best at. So we're still going to do a lot of that. I think finding a balance and finding the ways to give the defense different looks and, me becoming a better screener and being a good screener and coming off of screens and screening for Kels and, all that different type of stuff that's a whole nother layer of things that the other team has to prepare for. So, like I said, I feel like it makes us less predictable. And, I mean, you're still going to see a lot of the same things that we do, but at times, move us off the ball, and especially out of timeouts and drops, maybe not so much our live flow and our live play. I think we'll be solid.
Given that you never really missed time, has this been one of the more difficult stretches of your playing career?
For sure, no doubt about it. I think it's been challenging mentally, just staying in it, and you're way more busy when you're hurt than when you're coming in and all you do is scout film and come out here and walk through things. So I'm in here hours and hours on hours trying to get my body right and do everything I can to put myself in a position to be available the rest of the year. And that's certainly my goal, and I feel good about that. And but yeah, it's definitely challenging. I think it's been so challenging because I've never been through it before. So just giving myself grace as I continue to come back and get my feet under me. And but I think it's also been like an amazing opportunity for myself too, and allowed me to learn a lot. And I think when we get to the end of the year and get here in the playoffs, I think this is gonna be a moment where I can look back on and be really proud of myself for everything that I went through and how I've dealt with it.
Caitlin, you've been on the J-Dub before.
Yeah.
What do you think now that you've seen the finished product for this?
It's enormous. It's a little overwhelming. I mean,
All right, we're gonna wrap that up right there. You heard Caitlin Clark. She says she's gonna play a certain amount of time. She says defense matters. Like, I just think this is a very, very, very risky proposition right here. She's not in game shape. There's no freaking way she's in real game shape. You can't really ever get into game shape without playing, but you need more than 2 practices against YMCA level players. Like, these guys can't play basketball. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, they practice against men, but those men can't play ball. Those men aren't going to play the same, aggressiveness that the women will play them with, and the way she'll be guarded. She mentioned also that, there could be some times where she's off the ball and Aaron McDonald's running the point and running her off screens. I like it in spurts, yes, but you better be running her off screens to get her open for her to shoot the ball, not to be a decoy, not to stand in the corner, not to stand 32 feet from the rim, to run her off screens to get. And that means you have to set proper screens. That's what you have to do. And she has to move her ass around those screens quickly. So that's where the question's going to come. Is it going to work? Will it not? I don't know. We're going to have to see it. I think it will be an interesting dynamic to have her play with Erin McDonald, to see how it works for her and so forth. But I'll be real. I have concerns about this. I am not excited about this. I thought they should have held her out longer. I hope I'm wrong. But I feel like they are bringing her back because it's summer camp kids day. Bro, I just do. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that in 2 days of light work these WNBA practices aren't hard heavy work, man. They're not going like 100 miles an hour. I want to see her really battling, and when you're playing a bunch of YMCA level practice players, like you're not getting that action. You're not. But we're gonna see, and I hope I'm wrong, but you need to see what happens and how she feels after not tomorrow, but probably Friday or Sunday. Because I think they play tomorrow, they play Friday, and then I think they play Sunday. So after that, that's when you need to see how she's looking, how she's feeling. Because otherwise, we'll see. It's risky, folks, and pulled muscles, they're always dangerous. That's why you always err on the side of caution. But they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. Why do I keep clicking on this one? I'm sorry. So the schedule they got is Wednesday, Friday, yeah, Sunday, 1 p.m. against Dallas. So we'll see what happens, man. I appreciate y'all jumping on board with me once again. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. This is Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. Come on now.